It was supposed to be just another glamorous public appearance until everything unraveled in real time. Sam Heughan's words cut like a knife, and the look on his face said it all. Across the room, Caitriona's surprising connection with a mystery man set tongues wagging, and the moment it was caught live, the entire Outlander world flipped upside down. What really happened behind that exchange? The pieces are finally coming together. The world of Outlander has been shaken to its very core. What began as an ordinary public appearance for its stars, Sam Heughan and Caitriona, has turned into one of the most talked about moments in recent entertainment history. Fans who have long admired their on-screen chemistry are now struggling to process a turn of events so unexpected, it feels like something ripped straight out of a Hollywood drama. The tension erupted in a setting meant to be celebratory, a special event promoting Outlander's upcoming season. Cast members were gathered, the cameras were rolling, and the energy in the room was electric. But in the midst of smiles, speeches, and fan interaction, something else was brewing. Something far more personal than anyone had anticipated. According to multiple eyewitness accounts and circulating clips from the event, Caitriona appeared unusually distracted during certain moments. While Sam was addressing the audience, speaking warmly about the show's journey and thanking the fans for their years of loyalty, her attention seemed to drift towards someone in the crowd. That someone, as it turns out, wasn't just another attendee. A tall, sharply dressed man was spotted standing near the edge of the stage area, exchanging glances with Caitriona that didn't go unnoticed. At first, fans thought it was a harmless moment, perhaps a family friend or an acquaintance cheering her on. But as the night unfolded, the interactions became impossible to ignore. Cameras caught Caitriona stepping aside during a break in the event, leaning in close to speak with the man, her body language exuding familiarity. The shockwave came when a brief but telling clip surfaced online. In it, Caitriona is seen touching the man's arm, laughing at something he says, and appearing entirely engrossed in his company, all while Sam stands just a few feet away, his expression shifting from animated to visibly strained. For fans who have followed Sam and Caitriona's journey, both on and off screen, this moment felt like the unraveling of an unspoken bond. Though the two have always maintained that they are simply close friends and co-stars, the public has long speculated about a deeper connection between them. Their undeniable chemistry in Outlander fueled endless rumors, with many hoping they were more than just colleagues. But now, the live incident has opened the door to a very different narrative. Social media exploded within hours of the clip going viral. Longtime supporters flooded Twitter, Instagram, and fan forums with disbelief, anger, and heartbreak. "I feel like I just watched Jamie and Claire break up in real life," one devastated fan wrote. Another commented, "Sam looked like he was holding back so much. You could see the hurt in his eyes." Behind the scenes, sources close to the Outlander set have hinted that tensions between Sam and Caitriona have been simmering for months. Though they remain professional during filming, subtle changes have been noticed. Less off-camera banter, fewer joint interviews, and a slight cooling in the warmth they once displayed so freely. While no one has officially confirmed a rift, the live event seemed to crystallize what many have suspected. Something has shifted between the show's two biggest stars. Sam Heughan's own response at the event only deepened the intrigue. Midway through the evening, while addressing the crowd, he paused, took a breath, and spoke with a tone that was noticeably more somber. Without naming names or addressing the incident directly, he thanked fans for their unwavering support and remarked, "Sometimes the hardest part of this journey is realizing that not everything you cherish will stay the same." The words hit like a thunderclap. Within minutes, snippets of his speech were circulating online alongside the now infamous clip of Caitriona and the mystery man. Fans pieced the two moments together, interpreting his statement as a veiled reference to what had just unfolded in front of him. "That was Sam's way of telling us it's over," one commenter speculated. "He didn't have to say her name. We all knew what he meant." In the days following the event, the fallout has only intensified. Entertainment news outlets picked up the story, framing it as a potential fracture in one of TV's most beloved on-screen partnerships. Headlines blared with words like betrayal, heartbreak, and scandal. Online debates raged over whether Caitriona's actions were harmless or a blatant disregard for her co-star's feelings. Adding to the drama, an anonymous insider reportedly told a UK tabloid that Sam had been aware of Caitriona's new relationship for some time, but never expected her to make it so public, especially not during an Outlander-related event. It's not just about romance or feelings, it's about respect. They've built this brand together, and moments like that can change how the audience sees everything, the insider claimed. Meanwhile, Caitriona has remained silent on the matter. No official statement has been released, and her social media activity has been noticeably minimal since the clips went viral. The absence of a response has only heightened the speculation, with some suggesting she is waiting for the controversy to cool before addressing it. Others believe she has no intention of explaining herself at all. Sam, on the other hand, has continued to engage with fans, but in a markedly different tone. In a recent Instagram post, he shared a scenic image of the Scottish Highlands with a caption that read, "New paths, new horizons." While cryptic, many interpreted it as another subtle acknowledgement of change, both personally and professionally. For the Outlander fandom, this unfolding situation feels like watching the dismantling of a dream. Over the years, Sam and Caitriona have represented more than just Jamie and Claire. They've embodied the kind of connection fans hoped was real. To see them now, caught in what appears to be a moment of public strain, has left many questioning what the future holds, not just for their friendship, but for the dynamic that has carried the show for nearly a decade. Industry insiders are already speculating on how this could affect the final stretch of Outlander. With filming for the concluding season underway, any real-life tension between the leads could influence their performances, promotional appearances, and even fan reception. Producers are said to be closely monitoring the situation, aware that the series' emotional impact relies heavily on the authenticity of its central relationship. As for Caitriona's mystery man, the intrigue surrounding him shows no sign of fading. Paparazzi have been on high alert, hoping to capture more images or interactions that might confirm the nature of their relationship. Every public sighting, every social media post is being dissected for clues. And until either party speaks out, the speculation will only grow. For now, the Outlander community is left in a state of limbo, torn between loyalty to both stars and a deep sense of disappointment over the live moment that changed everything. Whether this was a simple misunderstanding blown out of proportion or the public unveiling of a private truth, one thing is certain: the bond fans believed in will never quite be the same again. In the ever-watchful world of celebrity culture, moments like this are rarely forgotten. They become part of the narrative, reshaping how we view the people we've come to admire. And for Sam Heughan and Caitriona Balfe, this moment, caught live, shared endlessly, and debated passionately, will likely be remembered as the night everything changed. Until the full story comes out, the whispers will continue, the theories will multiply, and the fandom will wait, hoping for clarity, closure, or perhaps even reconciliation. But as Sam's words echo in the minds of those who heard them, a bittersweet truth lingers. Not everything you cherish will stay the same.
The world of television intimacy has been undergoing a quiet but important transformation, and nowhere is that more evident than in the Outlander universe. Over the years, both the flagship series and its new prequel, Blood of My Blood, have evolved their approach to depicting love, passion, and vulnerability on screen. This evolution has not happened by accident. It has been shaped by the experiences of the cast, the lessons learned over a decade of production, and the pivotal introduction of a dedicated intimacy coordinator, a role that stars like Caitriona Balfe and Sam Heughan have openly celebrated. Now the younger cast of the prequel is stepping into that same environment, experiencing what they call a controlled uncomfortableness when filming sex scenes. For Caitriona Balfe, who has embodied Claire Fraser since the very first episode of Outlander, The arrival of intimacy coordinator Vanessa Coffey in later seasons was a game changer. In the earlier years of the show, sex scenes often required difficult negotiations directly between actors, directors, and producers, with no set process to ensure everyone's comfort. Balfe recalls that it was sometimes challenging to find the right language to talk about what felt acceptable, and at times, those conversations could be awkward or emotionally draining. When Coffey came on board during season 6, it was like a switch had been flipped. Suddenly, there was someone whose entire job was to facilitate those conversations, to create a neutral space for discussing boundaries, and to choreograph intimacy in a way that preserved both the integrity of the performance and the comfort of the actors. Balfe has been vocal about how much she appreciated Coffey's guidance, especially during her pregnancy, when she was navigating both physical and emotional vulnerability on set. Sam Heughan, who plays Jamie Fraser, has echoed Balfe's sentiments. He remembers the early days of Outlander as a period when actors were essentially thrown into the deep end during intimate scenes, relying largely on instinct and the direction of filmmakers. While the chemistry between Heughan and Balfe was undeniable, he admits that the process could feel pressured and overly exposing. The arrival of Coffey marked a shift toward treating these moments not just as necessary plot beats, but as carefully crafted storytelling tools. Heughan appreciates that the coordinator's approach allowed them to focus more on the emotional truth of the scene, rather than simply getting through an awkward experience. These lessons have carried over into Outlander, Blood of My Blood, a prequel that steps back in time to explore earlier generations of the Fraser family. In the very first episode, audiences are introduced to a central romantic pairing between Julia and Henry, played by Hermione Corfield and Jeremy Irvine. Their connection is immediate, their chemistry apparent, and their on-screen intimacy intense. For both actors, this could have been a daunting challenge. Yet they have described feeling completely supported by the same kind of careful, respectful environment that Balfe and Heughan praised in the main series. Corfield has spoken about how vital it was for her to feel entirely comfortable with her co-star when filming intimate scenes. She and Irvine have known each other for nearly a decade, which gave them a foundation of trust to build on. She says that laughter often helped diffuse the tension, but that the real key to navigating those moments was the presence of a coordinator who guided them through every beat of the scene. Instead of fumbling through trial and error, they could work with precision, clarity, and mutual respect. For Jeremy Irvine, the difference between earlier experiences in his career and what he encountered on the Blood of My Blood set was striking. Before intimacy coordinators became common in the industry, he remembers that actors were often left to figure things out themselves, which could result in discomfort or miscommunication. In contrast, the process on Outlander's prequel was structured yet collaborative. He describes the feeling as controlled uncomfortableness, acknowledging that no matter how prepared or professional you are, there is always an inherent awkwardness to performing intimate acts in front of a crew. However, with a dedicated coordinator, that discomfort is managed, rehearsed, and transformed into something purposeful for the narrative. This shift in approach reflects a broader industry-wide change. In the wake of high-profile conversations about on-set safety and consent, more productions are recognizing the importance of having an advocate whose sole responsibility is to ensure that intimate moments are handled with the same precision as complex stunts or fight scenes. The Outlander franchise's embrace of this practice shows how it can enrich storytelling rather than hinder it. For Balfe and Heughan, it meant being able to tell deeper, more authentic love stories for Claire and Jamie. For Corfield and Irvine, it means stepping into a legacy where boundaries are respected, trust is prioritized, and intimacy becomes another form of performance art. The actors' reflections highlight how far the industry has come in a relatively short time. Just a decade ago, it was normal for sex scenes to be directed in vague terms, with little preparation beyond blocking and camera angles. Today, In productions like Outlander and Blood of My Blood, those same moments are meticulously choreographed, with attention paid not just to how they look, but how they feel for the people performing them. It's a change that benefits everyone involved, from actors who feel safe and respected, to viewers who can sense the difference in the authenticity and emotional depth of the performances. In many ways, the controlled uncomfortableness that Irvine mentions is the perfect phrase to describe this new era of intimacy on screen. It acknowledges that vulnerability will always be part of the process. There's no way to fully erase the awkwardness of acting out love and desire in a staged environment. But when that vulnerability is guided, supported, and handled with care, it can lead to performances that resonate more deeply with audiences. For a series like Outlander, where passion and connection are central to the story, that controlled balance between comfort and discomfort may be one of the keys to its enduring success. And for its prequel, it's a promising sign that the Fraser legacy will be told with the same dedication to both artistry and humanity. When an actor steps onto the set of a beloved and globally recognized series like Outlander, the experience can be as daunting as it is exhilarating. For Jamie Roy, who joined the rich and sprawling world of the historical drama that has captured millions of hearts, the opportunity was a professional milestone and a deeply personal adventure. But what made it truly memorable was not just the chance to work on such a high-profile show. It was the wisdom and encouragement he received from one of the series' most iconic figures, Sam Heughan. Now, in a candid reflection, Jamie Roy has opened up about the advice that has stayed with him, and the way Heughan's quiet yet profound mentorship has helped shape his path in the industry. Jamie Roy's journey into Outlander was the result of years of dedication, training, and persistence. Like many aspiring actors, his career had been a series of auditions, small roles, and constant learning. When he received the call that he would be joining the cast, it felt like a moment where hard work and opportunity met in perfect alignment. Yet, even with his excitement, there was an undeniable nervousness about stepping onto a set where established actors had already built a tight-knit working relationship, and where the stakes, both creatively and professionally, were high. The world of Outlander was not just a show, it was a cultural phenomenon, and joining it meant stepping into a space with millions of devoted fans watching closely. It was in this high-pressure environment that Jamie first encountered Sam Heughan, the actor who has brought the beloved character Jamie Fraser to life since the show's debut. Heughan's presence on set was commanding yet approachable, a combination that instantly put people at ease. Jamie Roy recalls feeling both awe and intimidation in those early moments. After all, Heughan was not only the leading man of the series, but also an actor with years of experience navigating the demands of a major international production. What happened next, however, was something that would leave a lasting impression on Roy for years to come. According to Roy, the first real conversation they had was not about acting techniques or the specifics of the day's scene. Instead, Heughan offered him a piece of advice that was as simple as it was impactful. Trust yourself, and don't be afraid to make bold choices. If you commit fully, the audience will come with you. At first, the words might have seemed like standard encouragement, but as Roy settled into his role, he began to realize the depth of their meaning. In the competitive and often unforgiving world of acting, confidence can be just as important as skill, and Heughan's reminder to believe in his instincts became a guiding principle for Roy's performance. The impact of that advice was felt almost immediately. Roy found himself taking more creative risks, exploring subtle choices in his delivery and physicality that might not have come naturally without that boost of reassurance. He discovered that acting was not just about hitting marks and delivering lines. It was about living in the skin of the character, making each moment believable because it came from a place of authenticity. And in moments of doubt, which inevitably arose, Roy would hear Heughan's voice in his head, urging him to trust his process. The support from Heughan did not stop there. Roy describes how his co-star made a conscious effort to create an inclusive atmosphere on set, offering quiet encouragement during long shooting days and sharing stories from his own early years in the industry. These conversations revealed that even someone as accomplished as Heughan had faced uncertainty and moments of self-doubt. For Roy, this was both comforting and inspiring. It reminded him that success is not a straight path, and that even the most polished performances are built on a foundation of persistence, resilience, and the willingness to learn. There was one particular day of filming that cemented Heughan's role as not just a colleague, but a mentor. The scene was emotionally intense, requiring Roy to tap into a raw vulnerability that he had not often explored on screen. As the cameras rolled, he found himself struggling to fully connect with the moment, his mind clouded with the pressure to deliver. Between takes, Heughan approached him, placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder, and quietly told him, "It's all in you already. Stop trying to force it, just let it happen." Something about that gentle reminder unlocked the scene for Roy, and the result was one of his most authentic performances to date. It was a moment that reinforced the truth of Heughan's earlier advice. Trust, both in oneself and in the process, is the key to powerful storytelling. Off-camera, the dynamic between Roy and Heughan has been equally rewarding. The two have shared laughs over craft services, swapped favorite books and films, and developed a mutual respect for each other's craft. Roy notes that Heughan's professionalism is matched by his generosity, both in the way he treats his fellow actors and in his willingness to share his own experiences without ego. In a world where competition can sometimes overshadow camaraderie, this approach stood out to Roy as a model for how he hopes to carry himself throughout his own career. As their time working together continued, Roy began to notice just how much Heughan's advice had seeped into his broader perspective on acting and life. The principle of trusting oneself extended beyond the set, influencing the way Roy approached auditions, interviews, and even personal challenges. He started to see that the courage to make bold choices, to commit to them fully, and to embrace the possibility of failure was not just an acting lesson. It was a life lesson. Roy has also spoken about the importance of representation and mentorship in the entertainment industry, noting that guidance from experienced actors can have a profound effect on emerging talent. In his view, Heughan's mentorship reflects a broader truth. The most enduring legacies are not built solely on personal achievements, but on the impact one has on others. Heughan's willingness to invest his time and energy into supporting a newer cast member speaks volumes about his character and his understanding of the collaborative nature of filmmaking. The influence of this relationship has not gone unnoticed by fans, many of whom have picked up on the chemistry and mutual respect between the actors in interviews and behind-the-scenes footage. Social media has been abuzz with admiration for the way Heughan lifts up those around him, and Roy's heartfelt comments have only deepened that appreciation. In an industry often criticized for fostering ego and competition, their dynamic is a refreshing reminder of what can happen when colleagues become allies and mentors. Looking back on his time on Outlander, Roy is quick to acknowledge that while the role itself was a significant achievement, it is the personal connections and lessons learned that he will carry forward most vividly. He describes the experience as a chapter of growth, not just as an actor, but as a person, and credits Heughan's guidance as a key part of that journey. The advice to trust himself and to commit boldly will, he says, remain with him throughout his career, a touchstone he can return to whenever he feels uncertain or overwhelmed. As for Heughan, his mentorship of Roy is just one example of the leadership he has demonstrated throughout his time on Outlander. From his dedication to his craft to his ongoing engagement with the show's passionate fanbase, Heughan has consistently modeled the kind of professionalism and generosity that inspires those around him. It is no wonder that actors who have worked alongside him speak so warmly of the experience, often citing not just his talent, but his kindness and willingness to share what he has learned along the way. For Jamie Roy, the chapter is far from over. With new opportunities on the horizon, he steps into each project carrying the lessons and confidence that were nurtured during his time with Heughan. He sees the advice he received not as a one-time pep talk, but as an evolving guide that will adapt and grow with him as he takes on new roles, faces new challenges, and continues to carve out his place in the industry. In the grand tapestry of an acting career, moments like these, the quiet exchange of wisdom, the supportive hand during a difficult scene, the unspoken bond between colleagues, are often what shape an actor's path most profoundly. For Jamie Roy, the advice from Sam Heughan will always stand as a reminder that the heart of acting lies not just in the performance itself, but in the courage to embrace each moment fully, to trust in one's own voice, and to never shy away from bold choices. And in that way, the lessons learned on the set of Outlander will echo far beyond the world of the show, carrying forward into every role, every stage, and every story yet to be told. Caitriona Balfe, who has embodied Claire Fraser since the very first episode of Outlander, the arrival of intimacy coordinator Vanessa Coffey in later seasons was a game-changer. In the earlier years of the show, sex scenes often required difficult negotiations directly between actors, directors, and producers, with no set process to ensure everyone's comfort. Balfe recalls that it was sometimes challenging to find the right language to talk about what felt acceptable, and at times, those conversations could be awkward or emotionally draining. When Coffey came on board during season 6, it was like a switch had been flipped. Suddenly, there was someone whose entire job was to facilitate those conversations, to create a neutral space for discussing boundaries, and to choreograph intimacy in a way that preserved both the integrity of the performance and the comfort of the actors. Balfe has been vocal about how much she appreciated Coffey's guidance, especially during her pregnancy, when she was navigating both physical and emotional vulnerability on set. Sam Heughan, who plays Jamie Fraser, has echoed Balfe's sentiments. He remembers the early days of Outlander as a period when actors were essentially thrown into the deep end during intimate scenes, relying largely on instinct and the direction of filmmakers. While the chemistry between Heughan and Balfe was undeniable, he admits that the process could feel pressured and overly exposing. The arrival of Coffey marked a shift toward treating these moments not just as necessary plot beats, but as carefully crafted storytelling tools. Heughan appreciates that the coordinator's approach allowed them to focus more on the emotional truth of the scene, rather than simply getting through an awkward experience. These lessons have carried over into Outlander, Blood of My Blood, a prequel that steps back in time to explore earlier generations of the Fraser family. In the very first episode, audiences are introduced to a central romantic pairing between Julia and Henry, played by Hermione Corfield and Jeremy Irvine. Their connection is immediate, their chemistry apparent, and their on-screen intimacy intense. For both actors, this could have been a daunting challenge, yet they have described feeling completely supported by the same kind of careful, respectful environment that Balfe and Heughan praised in the main series. Corfield has spoken about how vital it was for her to feel entirely comfortable with her co-star when filming intimate scenes. She and Irvine have known each other for nearly a decade, which gave them a foundation of trust to build on. She says that laughter often helped diffuse the tension,